Hey book nerds, I'm Travis and this is Travis Reads Books. Today, in honor of Game of Thrones returning for Season 7 this week, I'm going to do the Game of Thrones book tag. This was created by Claire Rousseau. I'll link to her original video in the description below. Number 1. Arya Stark, a character who's all about revenge. I chose Leonard Peacock from Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock. This is a character whose sole motivation is getting revenge on another character who has wronged him. What this character has done, when they did it, we don't know any of that. All we know is that Leonard Peacock is going to kill him. It's a great book, and as the mystery unravels, it becomes a really compelling and tragic story. Number 2, Lord Varys, a book filled with political intrigue. Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I seem to recall that book being quite full of political intrigue. Maybe too much, because I've been meaning to read the second book, and now I can't really remember everything from the first one. I might have to reread it, and who has time for that? Number 3, King Joffrey, a villain you love to hate. I love to hate the Judge from Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. He's just such a cool villain, and so unique and interesting. And he's definitely evil, or maybe he just doesn't understand basic concepts like good and evil. Maybe he thinks he's above that. I don't know, it's hard to tell. It's very near and dear to my heart, as bad as he is. Number 4, Jon Snow, a coming-of-age story. Every Exquisite Thing by Matthew Quick. This is a coming-of-age story for the protagonist, but also, in some ways, for a lot of the characters who are really making discoveries about themselves and about the world as the story progresses. It's a really brilliant book. Number 5, Jaime and Cersei, a ship you just can't get behind. I can get behind the protagonists from 50 Shades of Grey. I am 100% against that relationship. And I'm not kink-shaming. I don't have a problem with BDSM if that's your thing, but there are safe and healthy ways to do that, and they are not depicted in this book. This book is about emotional and physical violence, and I do not endorse that relationship. Number 7, Daenerys, a book with dragons in it. I don't read a ton of fantasy, but I have read The Eye of the Dragon by Stephen King. It is in fact the only Stephen King book I've ever read. It's probably not one of his better known stories, but I remember really enjoying it when I read it. Number 8, Sansa Stark, a character you grew to love. Mia from Nevernight. When the book started, I couldn't stand Mia. I just found her dull and boring and just a one-note character without any real humanity, without any interesting character traits. That was more about the image she was showing to the world. As the book went on, there's a lot more layers to her, and she's a much more complicated and interesting character. So by the end of the book, I really liked her. Number 9, Melisandre, a favorite magic system. Lord of the Rings for this one, just because it's very vague in its implementation. I mean, sometimes magic can do certain things, sometimes magic can't do certain things, and that kind of sounds like a knock against it, but I like that you never really understand how magic works as a reader. Most of the characters don't really understand how magic works, though it certainly exists, and there are magical creatures and magical characters, but even Gandalf, for all his magic, like, how much magic does he actually do? Not that much. Number 10, Tyrion, a character whose weapon is his or her mind. I say Hermione from Harry Potter. Harry is gifted with an innate skill for magic, as are a lot of the other characters in the book, but Hermione really isn't. She studies hard, and she learns, and she becomes a great wizard through hard work and intelligence. I think that makes her a really commendable character. Well, that was my Game of Thrones tag. Thanks to Claire Rousseau for creating it. I'm now going to go and watch the season premiere of Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching, love and respect. See you next time.